So now it's time for our segment on the show called The First Laugh. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions about firsts.
Oh, God.
Starting with the first piece of comedy that you remember making you laugh really hard as a kid growing up.
My dad was a huge John Candy fan. And I can't remember what it was, but there was a movie in a cabin. Does this make sense? He was like an outdoorsy...
Is it the Great Outdoors, I think?
I think it was The Great Outdoors, yeah.
I just watched that documentary from that Colin Hanks made about John Candy, so I've fresh in my mind.
I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, it's great, yeah.
My dad's favorite actor.
That was the one that got you early on, John Candy?
Yeah.
What about the first time that you knew that you were funny, that you had the ability to make other people laugh?
I was in kindergarten and I played, I talked about this before, but I played a psalm book in my St. Anne school, which I literally had I don't know if that was the first time I made people laugh. I played the Tin Man. No, you know what? I'm going to take that back. I played Annie in a production of Annie when I was way too old, and I didn't have I just wore a full-on Bozo the Clown wig because I couldn't. It was just in a Catholic school. So it was just a Bozo the Clown wig and my friend's Laura Ashley dress. And I remember the Sandy was played by another freshman in like a mascot dog costume. And I started definitely hamming it up once I heard laughs that were unintended, but I definitely started hamming it up.
I'm sure you did a ton of auditioning when you were starting out. Was there a first big audition for a role that got away, or an audition that didn't go as expected, or just something that stands out from early on?
Oh my God, there were
auditioning?
So many. I mean, I think The Office was one of those ones that you're like, And Jenna Fisher was the only person that ever should have played that part, and she's amazing in it. But I definitely remember the stakes were very high because of I'd seen the British one, and I love Greg Daniels and Mike Schur. And so that was one that you were like, oh, please, oh, please, oh, please.
Did you get to the point where you were working with other actors or anything? Because I know there was they were pairing people up and doing all that.
They did pair me off. I can't remember who I was paired off with, but it was like it felt to me like it was tantalizingly close, and I probably was not. I feel like Jenna had been cast understandably way before.
You mentioned, the early rom-coms that you did. I think the first big one for a lot of people was How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
That's my first movie.
That's your first movie, yeah. What do you remember from that experience of being on your first movie?
Oh, I mean, I remember Kate was kind of the first movie star that I'd ever been around. And I just
Kate
remember
Hudson,
being Kate Hudson, who is just a beam of light. I can't wait to see her movie, by the way. It looks incredible. And I just remember she's a movie star. The molecules in the room would shift when she walked in. It was like, I had never been around that energy before, like that star energy, and also to know that star energy was so sweet, and so we became such good friends. But I remember that experience. I remember BB Newirth, who played our boss, and I couldn't believe that I was in a scene with her. And I remember, I just remember how we stayed in we stayed in this place called the Sutton House in Toronto, which became known as the Slutton House, not because of anything I did, Matt, but it was a kind of a rite of passage to stay in this place. So I felt very, I couldn't believe I was in that. I just couldn't believe that I would be watching credits and see my name in credits at the end of a movie. That was nuts.
Was there a moment or a story when you felt famous for the first time, or got recognized, or just realized that you were a person that people knew?
Yeah, and I think it was for Parks and Rec. I'm sure that there was times earlier than that, but when Parks and Rec really started hitting, and maybe it was off the air and people started watching it again, that was a huge... not huge, but for me, it was like a teeny bit of a shift. During WandaVision, which was like a big one, just because that show was so big, I didn't see anybody. So I was, it was during COVID. Yeah. So I would walk out in a mask on, and so that was weird when we first started being able to see people again, because it had been such a long time since the show was out that it was weird to have recognition like that long after it.
Yeah. When you look back at your career, is there anything that you said no to at the time that you now think maybe I should have said yes to that one?
No, because it all kind of unfurled exactly the way it was supposed to. And if I said no to anything, it was to be with my kids. And so I would never change.
Can't feel bad about that.
No.
On the flip side, anything you said yes to that you now kind of wish you'd said no to?
A couple things for sure. Definitely a couple things that took me away from my family for reasons that were not ultimately that satisfying.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what they are. No, I'm kidding.
Do you have a story about the hardest you ever laughed on a set? You've worked with some pretty funny people. What stands out as the hardest you ever laughed in a scene or getting through something?
There used to be something called room tone, that at the end of the scene you had to be deadly quiet so that the sound was able to catch like the tone of the room underneath the dialogue. And that's a very serious business, and you have to be really quiet. And Paul Rudd, who would not be embarrassed at me telling this story, we were doing room tone on Wanderlust, and he cut the loudest fart that you have ever heard. And then he blamed it on me. Like while we were doing it, he did it and ran away and said it was Kathryn. So it took me a while to go around the crew and say, in fact, that was not me. In fact, now I feel like I'm finally going on the record and saying that was not me.
That's very funny. That's a great movie, too.
I was crying. It's a great movie. I love that movie so much. And still, again, an ensemble that I would go to bat for. I love them so much.
You've, at this point, fully embraced the Mother Hahn persona, and to the point where I think it's your Instagram handle as well.
I don't know what I was doing.
Do you remember the first time you became aware of that and what your reaction to it was?
No, I didn't know what was. Honestly, that was the handle that came up. And my daughter kind of told me my daughter she was the one who guided me through the Instagram process. I, of course, had known what a mother was. Yeah. I had seen the genius Maya Rudolph on SET, that's hilarious, on SNL. And so I knew, of course, I knew kind of what it was. And so I knew that me calling myself that was going to be tongue in cheek for sure. But I wear it with pride as long as they'll let me.
Do you have a story or memory about the first time you met one of your really big comedy heroes, just someone who you looked up to, maybe growing up and just what it was like to meet them for the first time?
I mean, there are so many heroes that I feel blessed enough to say I've met. I remember meeting, this is the one that comes to mind, is Jennifer Coolidge in a porta potty bathroom for some Hollywood party. And she must have thought, I mean, clearly I was acting just like a normal fan, but I could barely get a sentence out. I was she was just trying to wash her hands. And I was like, I was very, very difficult for me to explain how much her work has impacted me as a performer and what a genius I think she is.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. The last question that we ask on the show, is there a story or memory from your career that makes you laugh now, but really was not funny when it happened?
Oh my gosh. Okay. When I first started acting in New York after school, I missed my grandma's 80th birthday party so I could do a play in the East Village in Alphabet City. And I remember kind ofly that the lead of the show, her name was Avocado Pitt.
Oh,
I'm sure it doesn't go by Avocado. If she does, incredible name. But I remember I had a very small part in it, and I had to ride a tricycle around, and some of the actors forgot their lines at the beginning of the play as I was backstage. It was on my grandmother's birthday. And it was one of those plays where you had to you couldn't do it unless like a condition of being in the play is you had to have 14 paying friends come and watch the play.
Oh, yes.
And the older gentlemen who were at the beginning of the play, and like one of them forgot their lines, and instead of just like starting where they were, they kept going back to the beginning of the scene, like 3 times. And so I felt like I was in like a Waiting for Godot nightmare as my grandmother was celebrating her birthday in Cleveland, Ohio. Aww. And so now I can laugh about it, but I was like on the tricycle waiting to go on. Like, what is my life? Just swimming in debt, just so much college debt behind me. Like, anyway, sleeping friends in the audience.
But as you said, each thing leads to the next thing, and maybe you wouldn't be here without that tricycle roll.
I know, Matt. I don't think I'd be here talking to you if it wasn't for the tricycle and for the amazing avocado pit.